What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Professor Anime and welcome back to another video. In today's video, everyone, we will be talking about another manga series that I recently caught up with titled The Promised Neverland. So let's get this started. So The Promised Neverland, the author of this series is two authors actually. One does the art and one does the story. The one who does the art is Nimizu Posaka. The one who does the story is Shirai Kayu. Now, The Promised Neverland is serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump. It was recently serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump. I mean, there is only 20 chapters of this series so far, and it's one of those series that is very interesting, especially regarding how it's in Shonen Jump. It's not the typical manga that you would usually see in this magazine. It kind of makes you question if Shonen Jump is trying to, extend their, manga publishing platform when it comes to new series out there and not just the typical tropes that you see in their magazine that you have seen in the past decade. Now, the reason why I say that this series is different compared to the rest of the series that you would see in Shonen Jump's magazine is because, one, this series actually stars a female protagonist, and not many female protagonists are actually in Shonen Jump. Number two is that this manga series handles things a little bit different. So, let me give you a little breakdown as to what this series is about. The Promised Neverland stars three main characters as of right now, named Emma, who is the main character, I would say, in this series. Then you have Norman, and then you have Ryo. Now, when it comes to these three characters, they pretty much live in an orphanage, but they don't believe that they are actually being taken care of by their caretakers in this orphanage. In fact, they actually think that this place is a prison and they want to escape. And they later figure out that apparently they are being brought up in this so-called orphanage all the way up to age 12 just to be sent off for food consumption amongst demons. Yeah, kind of strange. And as of right now, in these past 20 chapters, the characters in the story have not broken out of their so-called prison yet. And usually you would think that they would have broken out by now, because a lot of manga and many forms of literature like to use what's called the inciting incident, which is basically when a character ends up experiencing something that ends up changing their lives forever, and that is the journey that goes about in the story. However, when it comes to this series, the inciting incident is played out, but in a different manner. It's mainly like a goal that these characters have in mind. Not necessarily, jumping into action in the first few chapters, but more so they have an idea of what they want to accomplish, and basically we're going to see them throughout these coming chapters escape from the prison. Now, my only question is that once we do see them escape from the prison, because I'm liking where the setting of the story is actually taking place, how you have these weird caretakers caring for these kids. They're basically putting on a facade right now to basically get these kids in order to... Now, my only question is, once this does happen, what will become of the manga? How exactly will the manga be handled? Because I'm liking where the setting of the story is right now, how these three characters are being very, strategic in their sense of how they can try to get around their so-called caretakers that are deceiving them of what's really going on in this orphanage, and how they are actually trying to break out of the prison. Like, how exactly will the manga be once they escape? Will it be as enjoyable? How different will it be? Are the caretakers going to exactly go after them and try to hunt them down? Like, that's the biggest question that I have for this series right now. And I'm pretty sure that it's too early to speculate on that factor because we have still yet to break out of the prison. But I'm just very curious as to how this series will go later down the line. So in this series, there are three main characters named Emma, Norman, and Ryo. Now, Emma, her overall goal in this manga series, as of right now, is to try to get all of the kids out of the orphanage from these deceiving caretakers who are raising them up and educating them. Now, even when it comes down to the little ones, like the kids who are like 4, 5, or 6 years old, she wants to do everything in her power to actually save everyone from the orphanage. She does not want anyone to die whatsoever. Then we have Norman. Norman is a very interesting individual. He is very interesting. Basically, when it comes down to his overall goal, he just wants to see Emma happy. He wants to see Emma happy. He wants to escape from the prison along with Emma, and he is technically willing to go the extra mile in order to make sure that Emma's goal is realized, which actually kind of, hints at maybe a possible death when it comes to his character. So there is that. Then we have Ryo. Now, Ryo is also a very interesting character. He is actually not an ally nor an enemy of Emma and Norman. In fact, Emma and Norman are his two closest friends, and he is willing to do everything he can for them in order to help them escape. However, at the same time, he is actually giving information to one of the caretakers named Isabella. And basically, she is called Mama, okay? That's her title in this series. She is the nanny of these children. And everyone knows that, or when it comes down to Emma, Ryo, and Norman, they know that Mama is deceiving them, and they want to escape from her. And Ryo is giving information as to what Emma and Norman are doing. However, at the same time, I do think that it's not 100% accurate information that he is giving to Isabella. Now, we know that Ryo is handing a lot of information to Isabella as to what Norman and Emma are up to, what their thoughts are, how they plan about going things when it comes to escaping from this so-called orphanage. We know that, he is giving a lot of information to Isabella. At the same time, we know that he is also not an enemy towards Emma and Isabella, nor an ally. And really, when it comes down to his overall past, as far as what we have seen from him, just a little bit that we have seen, he has been planning this day since the age of 6. Like, he basically knew what was going on within this orphanage before anybody else. And in order to save his two closest friends close to him, he had to deceive the deceiver, so to speak. Basically gaining Isabella's trust. And also, when it comes down to Ryo's character, he wants Norman to trick Emma to not get everyone out of the prison. And this is mainly due to the fact that Ryo cares deeply about his two friends, but he sees it as impossible to get everyone out of the orphanage, because if, the more people who are included in this sort of plan, the more people will probably end up dying from this, and also the plan could not work at all. So that is the main reason why Ryo wants Norman to trick Emma at the very last second of things. But at the same time, Norman wants to realize Emma's goal and make her happy, which is to, get everyone out of the prison, which, again, due to this factor of Norman's character, this could possibly lead to a coming death, like once they are actually trying to break out of the prison. Now, we gotta talk about another character in this series that goes by the name of Crone, Miss Crone. She is another caretaker that recently appeared in these last few chapters, who is probably one of the scariest, not scary per se, but one of the freakiest characters that I have seen of this series so far. Like, the demons, they look creepy and all, and by the way, when it comes to the demons, like, character designs, they look cool. They look sick. You can definitely tell the attention to detail that the author of this series put into the demons. But what's more freaky than the demons is Miss Crone. I mean, Miss Crone, like, you will see panels in this series where she's just lurking in the shadows. There was one scene where she's just looking at Norman, Emma, and Ryo, like, behind a tree, and she looked creepy. Just the sort of grin she gives off, like the expressions, it's very, very odd. And there's even a scene in this manga series where we see Crone playing a game of tag with Emma, Ryo, Norman, and the rest of the kids. Of course, the kids end up winning the game of tag, but just how Miss Crone ended up going about doing things, like how she was trying to tag the other, children, it was just crazy. Like she sprints so fast, and she's just this big woman who has the strength of 2 to 3 men. I'm not joking. She shattered this tree in order to get one of the kids. I'm not joking. She is strong, and she also has her own goals as to what she wants to accomplish. Now, and we see that by the end of the 20th chapter that she is trying to make a truce with Emma, Ryo, and Norman. And it's mainly to serve the purpose of her overall goal, which is to basically become basically to become mama of the house. The current mama is Miss Isabella, but she wants Isabella to be removed from the picture. She wants to get rid of her so that way she can be the title of mama and technically live a sort of comfortable lifestyle with the kids in general. However, at the same time, she's kind of hypocritical in the sense because we know for a fact that she doesn't want to actually take care of these kids, because once they reach the age of 12, they're going to be sent off to the demons to be consumed for food, and that's exactly what Isabella is doing. So when it comes to her overall character, basically she just wants to, increase her rank. So when it comes to her character, she is really, really strange, really freaky, and it's quite interesting how much information she is giving to the gang of characters, Norman, Emma, and Ryo. So that is basically where, I'm saying basically a lot in this review, I'm so sorry. That is really where we end off with these past few chapters of The Promised Neverland. So until the next chapter, we don't know exactly how Ryo, Emma, and Norman are going to go about doing things, but we do know for a fact that most likely they are going to make a truce with each other. However, we know once Crone ends up accepting the truce with them and Isabella is possibly removed from the picture, we can see that, she is going to want to get rid of the gang of characters as well. So there is that. But yeah, I think that about does it for my review of the first 20 chapters of The Promised Neverland, my first impressions. I think this series has potential. I think it does. It's doing pretty decent so far. I'm not exactly sure how it is being received in Japan right now, but so far it hasn't been canceled, which is a good sign. Because of what happened to Red Sprite. That series got canceled, so that kind of sucks. But when it comes to The Promised Neverland is still going strong at this moment given in time. I'm not exactly sure how it is being received in Japan, but when it comes to my overall enjoyment of the series, I think it's pretty decent. It does have potential, and I'm really interested to see how the series is going to go from here on out. Let me know in the comments down below on what you guys thought about my review, my first impressions of The Promised Neverland, and also, are you checking out this series as well? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to slap a like on it, and if you want to stay up to date to my future content, hit that red subscribe button down below, and you'll never miss a video from me. That about does it for this video, guys. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.